Ronda Rousey's return to the octagon is finally set. Yes, sir. The former champ will fight Amanda Nunes on December 30th at UFC 207. That one in Sin City. Rousey has not fought since she suffered a stunning knockout loss, as we all remember, to Holly Holm at UFC 193 last November. Stephen A., I want to start with you here. Does Rousey deserve a title shot in her UFC return?
No, she does not. No, she does not. And I have profound respect for Ronda Rousey, and I'm very fond of her. I mean no disrespect whatsoever. She didn't just lose to Holly Holm, she got beat up. If you're coming back and you're fighting Holly Holm, that's different. Because you're fighting somebody that beat you up, that match makes sense. You get an opportunity to avenge what transpired against you and what you suffered from. Or I wouldn't even have a problem if, let's say, for example, she happened to lose, and then Holly Holm steps in the ring with somebody, Amanda Nunes or anybody else, and she loses, and then that's it. But the amount of time that Ronda Rousey has spent away from the game itself, it will be more than a year. We saw her on, and I'm not joking about any of this. This is not funny. We saw her on the wonderful show Ellen, acknowledging that she was almost suicidal. She wanted to die. You understand? This is some serious, serious psychological damage that has been done to her. I think it's something that you could potentially overcome if you're going into the ring, Max, with the person who beat you. But when you step away from the game, particularly the fight game, for such a lengthy period of time, and then you just come back and you're thrusted into a quote-unquote title shot, and it's not against the person that you're trying to avenge. Now we've got to take all of those ancillary things into consideration. The amount of time off, your mental state of mind, et cetera, et cetera. And that is why I don't believe she deserves this title shot. If it were Holly Holmes, then it makes more sense because the level of urgency, focus, et cetera, you're trying to avenge a beatdown. But just to be thrusted into a title slot against a champion who's somebody that you haven't faced, I'm saying there are others who have been fighting that deserve that. You need to show that you're willing to work your way back. You wouldn't need to do that if it were Holly Holm. But against anybody else, you need to show that you're working your way back to that level of prominence.
Yes, she does deserve the title shot. And I totally disagree with you. Now, I'll say this. Whether she should take the title shot is another story. And I've spoken to Dana White about this, and he and I just don't see it the same way. I think particularly against Holly Holm, you don't take that shot. The old saying in the fight game, at least in boxing, is if one fighter knocks out another fighter, they'll do it again in the rematch, but quicker. I don't think it's a good idea to get right back in with a fighter that stopped you.
Quick interruption.
Yes.
Didn't work for Lennox Lewis versus Hakeem Rahman.
Occasionally there is a difference.
Right.
It doesn't hold up all the time.
I know, but occasionally there's a difference.
When Shane Mosley loses to Vernon Forrest, maybe don't get right back in with him the next fight. Right. Because, that person has your number, and there's also a psychological advantage they have. Now, whether or not she, and I wouldn't start with the top of the division if I were Ronda Rousey. I think that's a mistake. I think you need to get your confidence back slowly, although the UFC is very dangerous because they're all world-class fighters. Hard to find a soft opponent there. Maybe the thought is, look, everyone's dangerous. Might as well take a shot at the title if you're going to take that risk anyway. This is why she deserves it. Deserves the shot, not whether she should take it. She deserves it. There's an old philosophical question in boxing about this, and some people feel as you do. They say if you're the champion and you lose, you shouldn't get an immediate rematch at the title because there are other contenders waiting in line. You've already benefited from the title. You lost. There are other people who haven't just lost who've been waiting. Let the #1 contender get their shot and get in line, and then you'll get a shot eventually. I don't feel that way. I think if you are a champion, particularly a dominant champion, who's taking on one world-class fighter after another, as Ronda Rousey was doing, and was so dominant that she was not only clearly the most dominant fighter in female, at least UFC, if not MMA, but also UFC and MMA's biggest star. It is actually, after all sports money-making ventures. It's not just athletic competition. It's also entertainment. You have to give the people what they want. But if you've done that and gone through all the top contenders, your resume says you've earned a title shot, even if you've lost to the last person you faced. You've earned that immediate rematch, particularly as an active and dominant champion. Now, she's taken a year off. That's true.
But that's a big deal, Max.
That makes it unwise, but it doesn't mean she doesn't deserve it.
But that's why she doesn't deserve it, because she required so much time. If you just lost a fight, every argument that you just made makes sense. If you just lost a fight and you coming back in regularly scheduled, etc. This woman was psychologically damaged, what was it, her jaw was shut, she couldn't even chew an apple for 6 months and all of this other stuff. She got beat up. And I'm saying to you, when you go through that, not just physically, but psychologically, you don't walk back in to a title fight after a lengthy period of time.
Okay,
and it has been a lengthy period of time.
If you want to say, we're on the same page about it's not wise to do it.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying she doesn't deserve it.
I'm saying it's not wise. But in terms of deserving it, the only argument really, I think, against deserving it, because she clearly, I mean, look, the question was who can challenge her. That's how dominant she was. She had to fight rematches because there was no one else to fight in her division. She was stopping everyone very, very quickly. So the argument really is she took so much time off that she doesn't deserve the rematch. How many fights did she actually miss in terms of time off? 2, maybe, that she would have had scheduled that she couldn't have scheduled? Maybe 3. I think her resume far outweighs a couple of fights not happening till this point.
I disagree.
All I know is I'm excited that she's getting back in the octagon and that she is going to fight again, because there's questions there after the fact of that last loss. Coming up next.
I tried to put myself, say, in Tony's shoes. I'm sure Tony wants to play. I mean, he doesn't want to get injured. He wants to be productive. But you have to look at the dynamics right now, and they really are hitting on all cylinders. So this is hypothetically thinking. If you're Tony, you say, you know what? As much as I want to play, I don't want to press the issue. I want to play, but I'm going to let it play out right now. And it's probably better if Dak starts struggling, and then they bring me in, rather than they put me in, and then all of a sudden we're not hitting on all cylinders, and everyone's like, they should have got rid of Tony. Blah, blah. I mean, if I'm making sense. So I'm not saying that you tell Garrett or Jerry Jones, look, I don't want to play. I think you want to play, but look, I don't want to mess up the dynamics of the team. If we get to a point where we're struggling, then it's time for me to come in. Now, that's a hard thing to do. I just think you're better if you wait till you're really needed. And I mean, no disrespect whatsoever to Tony.
Lil Wayne, I'm watching you smile while you hear that voice. You know, Brett Favre, your former quarterback, see you with the Green Bay. Yeah. But before we get to the question, Stephen, did you want to mention something?
I just want to make sure everybody knows. I know David Ortiz is a 3-time World Series champion. I kept saying 2 times. I kept saying 2 times. It's because I want to forget the fact that he got his first beating the Yankees en route to the first title. That's why I wanted to.
That wasn't it.
But go ahead. Go ahead, man.
You okay with your former quarterback, Brett Favre, saying that about Mr. Romo?
Yeah, I think it was very wise. And everybody's kind of, they like, what's wrong with? They're like, oh, that's not Brett, that's not Brett who you. They think Brett, he said this about Aaron, and that's the Brett that retired but came back, and that's the Brett that would never. It's not my job to help her. That's not that Brett. This is Brett Favre. This is who he is, and this is what he's saying. And let's not worry about who's it coming from, and pay attention to what he's saying. He made sense.
Well, I'm gonna pay attention to who the hell said it. I'm not gonna let that go, Lil Wayne. Then I'm gonna tell you why. Because I'm just saying, when you were an individual, meaning Brett Favre, when you were that dude that couldn't make up your mind when you wanted to retire, when you wanted to stay home, when you are the dude playing the quarterback position, which we're religiously told, you're not just a football player. I mean, you're the leader of the team. I mean, you're supposed to set the shining example. I mean, if you don't do it right, who else? But you've got to be that leader, the quarterback spot. This dude was nothing but the last 5 years. This dude was a walking prima donna, couldn't make up his mind when he wanted to stay, when he wanted to go, would literally leave teams dangling in the wind. Wait, 1 year he showed up to camp for Minnesota's last year in August. I mean, he wouldn't make up his mind whether he wanted to play or not until August. Now, I was told and I was taught this does incredible damage to a football team. Oh, but not when it comes to Brett Favre. He's Brett Favre. I mean, did you know that? He threw for 71,000 yards in his career. He threw all of these touchdowns passes. Did you see him jump into the arms of his offensive lineman? Did you see him give them hugs? Did you see how he got tripped up and threw the ball underhanded to a receiver? Oh, look at the little kid in him. He still loves the game. He's just eating. Oh, you just love it. Don't you see it? Everybody fawning and drooling all over him. This is that dude. So you got the nerve to open your mouth about Tony Rumble? No, Little Wayne, no. I'm not accepting that. I'm not saying he was wrong. I'm saying I don't want to hear that from Brett Favre. Go do your regular Wrangler jeans commercial, okay? Show up when they ask you to. Sit there and take pictures. You understand? Show up to Hall of Fame celebrations and all that. I don't want to hear nothing else from Brett Favre. Please.
Honestly, I think Brett was looking at it like, Tony ain't no Brett.
Thank you.
Tony ain't no Brett. So Brett was looking at it like, I'm telling y'all what Tony should do.
Try to explain this to you.
Y'all ain't ask me what I would do and what I should do, because y'all already know what I would do and what I should do. I might not know what I would do till August, but I was talking about till whenever I'm ready. I'm Brett. But Tony y'all asked me what Tony should do, and because he ain't me, he need to let that boy do what he do.
And what about this? Is Favre telling on himself? Is he saying, look, this is the way, in a way, this is the way I would play it? Of course I want to play, so what I would do is I don't want to start right now, because if we lose, then I'm out. So, hey, Tony, if you want to be slick about it, let the kid keep playing. They're going to hit a rough patch. When they do, boom, you get in there. Is he telling on himself?
I don't think he's telling on himself. I think he's just answering the question, man.
No, you're answering the questions. All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm glad you were focused on the message, the only one here. Messenger.
It's so touching. It's so touching. It's so touching.
Let's change
Brett
subjects,
Favre.
can we, Stephen
Brett
A?
Favre, please. Go do your Wrangler commercials.
Wayne,
Go ahead.
let's talk a little NFC East. So you root for Redskins?
No, in football,
Yeah,
just the
Packers? Or
just the
or you like the
Packers.
Redskins in the NFC East? Or is that bad information?
No, that's bad information.
Okay, bad information.
Who do you like in the NFC East? Do you have a strong opinion about it?
I mean, I believe the Redskins would be a lot better if they located D-Jack more. He's a great receiver, and he's kind of invisible sometimes.
Well, you know what it is? I watched him last week. Deshaun Jackson's who you're talking about.
Yeah.
He was very frustrated. Actually, he was targeted. Kirk Cousins just overthrew him about 3 times.
Exactly.
You know, so this is what you have in the nation's capital, okay? When I look at the NFC East, you know, these folks, they don't get it. They don't get it, Lil Wayne. They don't understand how I'm plotting. Because you do know this about me with the Cowboy fans. I think they're disgusting. I think they're the worst fan base in American history. I can't stand the Cowboy fans. I can't stand them, okay? They make me sick. But I will tell you this.
Shout out, Ant.
Everybody thinks that I want the Cowboys to lose. You know, they don't understand. Go ahead and let them win. Let them get right up there, Max. Let them get right up there to the tip. Let them get right up there. Let them get to the NFC Championship game. Let them have a lead in the 4th quarter. Let them be up by 20 and then blow it. I want an epic failure. That's what I want.
I want to lick the tears off the fans' face like
That's what I'm after.
And the more heartbreaking it is, the sweeter the tears.
And I hope that Jerry Jones and the Cowboys invite me to Texas Stadium, because you know what I'll do? I will party with Cowboy fans for a tailgate party and laugh right in their face when it happens. I would do it. I really would. I really would. I'm silly.
Speaking of Deshaun Jackson,
right?
You know how hard it is to overthrow Deshaun Jackson?
Exactly.
How do you overthrow that guy? I mean, the quarterback play in Washington, except for RG3's rookie year, has not been consistently good in how many years?
Well, Kirk Cousins played well last year, but it was against mediocre talent.
And it was for a few games. It was some spurts to me. It wasn't, you know, I thought that was what I actually thought was happening was how we blow. When I say we, I mean us, America, how we just blow things up, you know. I might make a shot behind my Lil Wayne's the best basketball player. You know, I think that was what's happening. Gotcha. What he said, you like that or something like that?
You like that? You like that? That's why the Green Bay Packers ended their season by saying, you like that?
Hey, who you telling?
The division up for grabs like always, but clearly Carson Wentz and Dak both putting on a show. But let's get your thoughts on the Lakers real quick. First time without Kobe for 20 seasons. What are your expectations?
I don't have any.
Smart.
I don't have any expectations. I'm just gonna watch and enjoy and see what we have, see what we're doing, and I think they should go out there the same way, just have fun and play ball, and then just try to figure something out for the time being. I don't have any expectations. I mean,
let me make news today.
Okay.
I've decided I'm gonna be a little bit nice to Jim Buss this year. Even though I believe that he played this very significant role in ruining this franchise. I've gotten on him enough. And now that they've hired Luke Walton, who I like, who I'm confident will do a good job eventually, I'm going to sit up here and try to give the Los Angeles Lakers a little pass here. I'm hoping. I was just in L.A., a couple of days ago. I did the Jimmy Kimmel show. While I was in L.A., that little buzz, that fever that you felt when Kobe was there, totally gone. It's not there now. Let's see what happens.
Well, I mean, one of the good things about Kobe being so bad the last couple seasons of his career, they extended his contract before he ever showed he could play again. After the Achilles, he was never the same. He had games here and there, but basically was a terrible player, especially for one who touched the ball so much. But the benefit was fans, Lil Wayne and others, want to see Kobe. You got that. Lakers fans got to build through the draft, and now they have an interesting young nucleus and a lot of cap space going forward. Even though I don't love the way they handled it in this offseason, they still have some flexibility going forward.
They already messed up because even though he's a decent player with promise, you don't draft D'Angelo Russell ahead of Jaleel Okafor.
Yes, you do.
No, you don't.
Yes, you do. We got a lot to talk about in the NBA.
Yes, we do. Wayne, appreciate you. Always good to see you. Thank you so much for being here with us. Come back again soon.